Some of the most important things that ever protected you, you never saw coming. They didn't announce themselves, they didn't ask for recognition. They arrived quietly, in a moment when you almost made a wrong turn, in a feeling that told you to wait when every instinct said go, in a peace that settled over you at exactly the moment you needed it most and had no reason to expect it. You've felt it before, maybe more than once, and you've probably never known quite what to call it. Padre Pio once said something that stopped people cold when they heard it. The dead are not as far from us as we think, and the love they carried for us while they were alive did not disappear. It found a new direction. That direction, quiet, invisible, deeply personal, is what we're going to explore today. Because that protection you felt but couldn't explain, it may not have been accidental. It may not have been luck. It may have been someone who loved you, still loving you, from the other side of death. Today we're going to look at 3 signs that a beloved person who has passed may still be watching over you, protecting you in ways you've noticed but never fully understood. The third sign is the one most people spend years walking past without recognizing, and once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Before we go any further, write in the comments the name of someone you love who is no longer here. Just their name. Because there are names that deserve to still be spoken out loud, and today, this is a safe place to speak them. Before we talk about the signs themselves, it's important to understand something that Padre Pio taught with great clarity, something that many people, even devoted believers, tend to overlook. We often think of death as a wall, a hard, final boundary between 2 worlds that have nothing to do with each other. The living here, the dead there, and never the 2 shall meet. But that's not the picture that centuries of Christian teaching paint. And it's certainly not the picture that Padre Pio lived by. For him, the veil between this life and the next was thin, extraordinarily thin. He received visits from souls who had already passed. He prayed for them. He interceded on their behalf. And he believed with complete conviction that those who had died in God's grace were not passive, distant, or indifferent to the people they left behind. They were present, aware, and capable by God's mercy of interceding for those still walking this earth. He once said that the souls of the faithful departed are more alive than we are, because they see with clarity what we can only glimpse through faith. And here is something worth sitting with. If a person loved you deeply in this life, a mother, a father, a grandmother, a child, a friend, do we really believe that love simply evaporates the moment their heart stops beating? Or is it possible that love, being something that comes from God, carries a different kind of weight, a permanence that death cannot dissolve? Now comes, and this is important, Padre Pio was always careful about discernment. Not every feeling, not every dream, not every strange moment carries spiritual significance. He was never reckless about these things. He always pointed back to one simple principle. What comes from God brings peace. What comes from God brings light, order, and draws the soul closer to heaven. If something brings confusion, fear, or leads you away from prayer and from God, regardless of how spiritual it seems, it is not from Him. Keep that in your heart as we walk through these 3 signs together. Because the signs we're about to explore are not dramatic, they're not loud, they don't announce themselves with thunder or fire. They come quietly, in the middle of ordinary life, and they carry a peace that is unmistakably different from anything the world can produce. The first sign is one that almost every person has experienced at some point, and almost every person has explained it away. You're going through something hard. Maybe it's a season of grief, or a decision that feels impossible, or a fear that has settled into your chest and won't leave. You've prayed, you've tried to hold on, but it's heavy, and you're tired, and part of you is wondering if anything is really listening. And then, without warning, without anything changing on the outside, a peace comes over you. Not happiness, not excitement, not the relief you feel when a problem is solved. Something deeper and stiller than any of that. A quiet that seems to come from somewhere beyond your own mind. A sense, almost wordless, that says, you are not alone in this. It will be all right. And the strange thing is, nothing has changed. The problem is still there, the fear hasn't disappeared, but somehow in that moment, it all seems held, carried, like something has quietly stepped in beside you. In the Christian tradition, this experience has a name. It's called spiritual consolation, a grace that God permits to reach the soul, often through the intercession of those who love us. Padre Pio spoke about this not as something rare or reserved for mystics, but as something that ordinary people experience when they are open to it. He also spoke specifically about the souls in purgatory, those who are being purified after death, drawing closer to God. He taught that when we pray for them, we are not doing something one-sided. We help them in their journey, yes, but they, in return, intercede for us before God. A living exchange of love across the boundary of death. You lift them up in prayer. They carry your name before the throne of God. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, that intercession reaches you as a peace you cannot explain. Think back. Has there been a moment like that in your life? A moment when everything was uncertain, and yet something settled inside you, not because of anything you did, but because something arrived? You may have chalked it up to emotion or exhaustion, or simply the mind finding its way through. But there's another possibility, one worth holding gently, without forcing it, but without dismissing it either. Someone who loves you may have asked for that grace on your behalf. And here is what makes this sign trustworthy. It always carries peace, never dread, never confusion. If what you feel unsettles you, disturbs your sleep, or pulls you away from God, that is not this. The peace that comes from spiritual consolation is quiet, grounding, and unmistakably oriented toward heaven. If you felt it, you know exactly what I mean. It doesn't need much explanation. It just needs to be recognized. The second sign is one that people are often more hesitant to talk about. Not because it's frightening, but because it feels almost too personal, too intimate to share in ordinary conversation. Have you ever had a dream about someone who has passed, and woken up feeling like it wasn't really a dream? Not the fragmented, nonsensical dreams we usually have, where places shift and logic dissolves, and you can't quite hold on to the thread. This is different. The person in the dream is present, fully, unmistakably themselves. They look at you, they may speak to you, and what they communicate, whether in words or simply in presence, leaves something behind when you wake. Not confusion, not anxiety, a warmth, a sense of having been visited. There is a long history in the Church of what are sometimes called consoling dreams, experiences where, with God's permission, a soul makes contact with a loved one still living. These are not sought. They are not produced by will or desire. They arrive, and they carry their own particular quality that is different from ordinary dreaming. The Church has always approached these experiences with careful discernment, neither dismissing them outright nor accepting them uncritically. Padre Pio himself was cautious on this point. He advised people not to seek out these experiences, not to become attached to them, and not to build their spiritual life around them. But he also said that we should not be quick to ignore what produces good fruit. If a dream draws you closer to God, inspires you to pray, fills you with love instead of fear, then it is worth paying attention to. There is a woman whose story circulates in Catholic communities, a woman who lost her mother after a long illness. In the weeks after her mother's death, she prayed for her every night, but struggled with the uncertainty of not knowing where her mother was, whether she was at peace, whether all the prayers were reaching her. One night she dreamed of her mother standing in a garden, luminous and calm, more herself than she had ever seemed in the last years of her illness. Her mother didn't speak. She simply looked at her daughter with an expression that held years of love in a single moment. When the woman woke, she was crying, but not from grief, from something that felt much closer to gratitude. She said she never worried about her mother again after that night, not because she stopped caring, but because something had been communicated that went beyond words. Now, whether or not we interpret that dream as a literal visitation, there is something spiritually significant happening. The fruit is peace. The fruit is faith renewed. The fruit is love deepened, not disturbed. And Padre Pio would say, pay attention to the fruit. If you have had a dream like this, vivid, clear, full of presence, there is something practical and beautiful you can do. Don't just hold the memory in your mind. Let it move you toward action. Pray for that soul. Offer a rosary on their behalf. If you are able, Ask for a mass to be celebrated in their name. Because here is what Padre Pio understood so well. These moments are not just comfort for you. They may also be a gentle request, a soul in the process of purification, reaching across the distance to say, "Remember me, pray for me, help me the way I am trying to help you." When you respond with prayer, you strengthen that bond. You participate in something ancient and beautiful, the communion of saints, the unbroken chain of love that connects the church on earth with the church in heaven. Now we come to the third sign, and I want you to give this one your full attention because it is the most easily missed, and in some ways, the most powerful. It doesn't happen in a dream. It doesn't arrive as a wave of unexplained peace. It happens in the middle of your ordinary day in a split second, in a moment so small that you would never think to mark it as significant. You're about to do something. Maybe it's a decision you've been leaning toward for a while. Maybe it's something small, a route you almost took, a message you nearly sent, a choice that seemed perfectly reasonable. And then, something stops you. Not fear, not logic, something subtler than both. A hesitation that doesn't come from your own thinking. A pause that arrives from somewhere outside of you and redirects you. And only later, sometimes much later, do you understand why. You changed your route and avoided an accident you never knew almost happened. You decided not to send that message, and the situation resolved itself in a far better way. You cancelled a plan at the last minute, for no clear reason, and later found out that going would have caused real harm. How many times has something like this happened in your life? And how many times did you call it luck? Gut instinct. A strange feeling you couldn't explain. Padre Pio spoke about the spiritual world as far closer to us than we imagine. He believed that we are surrounded by unseen help, our guardian angels first and foremost, but also by God's permission, those souls who loved us and who continue to be invested in our well-being. Not because they are haunting us, but because love, when it is real, does not become indifferent, simply because it has crossed into eternity. A father who watched over his children every day of his life does not suddenly stop caring because he has died. A mother who prayed over her family for decades does not set those prayers down at the threshold of death. In the mercy of God, that love continues to have a shape, a direction, a purpose, and sometimes that purpose looks like a quiet push away from something that would have hurt you. There is a man who spent years not believing in any of this, practical, skeptical, the kind of person who needed evidence before accepting anything. He had lost his father when he was young, and grief had made him close down rather than open up. Years later, going through a period of real financial desperation, he was on the verge of making a business decision that would have been catastrophic, a contract with someone who turned out to be deeply dishonest. The night before he was going to sign, he had a moment he described simply as an interruption, not a dream, not a voice, just a sudden, inexplicable certainty that he should wait. He waited. Within days, the truth about the other party came out, and what could have been devastating never happened. He said quietly that he thought about his father that night, that something about the feeling reminded him of the way his father used to grip his shoulder when he was about to do something foolish, a steady, loving hand that said, "Not this way." He never made a grand announcement about what he believed, but he started going back to church, and he started praying for his father, because something in him understood, even if he couldn't fully articulate it, that love had reached across and found him in a moment when he needed it most. This is the discernment Padre Pio always returned to. Does this lead you toward God or away from Him? Does it protect your soul or endanger it? What comes from the love of God, channeled through the souls He has sanctified, will always lead you upward. It will always move you toward truth, toward goodness, toward the life you were created to live. Now, here is something that needs to be said clearly because it matters deeply. Many people receive these signs. The peace that arrives without reason, the dream that lingers like a memory of something real, the quiet interruption that steers them away from harm, and they receive them, and they feel them, and then they move on. Back to the routine, back to the noise, without responding. And that response matters, not because God is keeping score, not because the souls of our loved ones are waiting anxiously for something from us, but because these moments are invitations. They are openings in the ordinary fabric of life, small windows through which something greater is reaching through. And what you do with an opening matters. When you recognize a sign and respond with prayer, you are participating in something much larger than a private spiritual moment. You are entering into the communion of saints, that great living reality that the Church has proclaimed from its earliest days. The dead are not gone. They are alive in a different way, and the love between us and them is not a closed circle. It is an exchange, an ongoing conversation between this world and the next, sustained by prayer, by faith, by the grace of a God who refuses to let love end with death. Padre Pio lived in this reality every single day. He prayed for the souls in purgatory with the same urgency he brought to everything else. He celebrated Mass with an intensity that those who witnessed it said was unlike anything they had ever seen, because for him, the Mass was not a ritual. It was a meeting point, a place where heaven and earth touched and where love moved in both directions. If you believe that someone you love is still in some way close to you, do something with that belief today. Pray a rosary and offer it for their soul. Ask for a Mass to be said in their name. Take a moment of silence and speak to them in your heart, not as a superstition, but as an act of love, trusting that God, who holds all things, knows how to carry that love where it needs to go. Take the holy water in your home, if you have it, and bless the doorways of your house with the sign of the cross. These are small acts, simple acts, but they are acts of faith, and faith has a weight that the world cannot measure. And now let me ask you something directly. Has any of this resonated with you today? Have you recognized yourself in one of these signs, or in all three? Have there been moments in your life that you filed away under coincidence or just my imagination that you're now looking at differently? If so, I want to hear from you. Write in the comments, share what you've experienced, not because we need to analyze it or debate it, but because your story matters. Because somewhere among the people watching this right now, there is someone who is grieving, someone who has lost a person they love, and is wondering whether that love still exists somewhere. And your words, your honest, simple testimony, might be exactly what that person needs to hear today. Share this video with someone who has lost a loved one, not because it offers easy answers, but because it offers something more durable than answers, a reminder that love, in God's economy, does not simply stop. It changes shape. It finds new ways to move, and sometimes it finds its way back to you in a moment of unexpected peace, in a dream you'll never quite forget, in a quiet interruption that steers you away from something you didn't know was coming. Padre Pio once said, "Pray, hope, and don't worry." Those three words carry more than they appear to, because prayer keeps us connected to God and to one another on both sides of the veil. Hope reminds us that this life is not the whole story, and the absence of worry is not naivety. It is the deep trust of a soul that knows it is not walking alone. You are not walking alone, and neither are those you love, wherever they are in God's mercy. If this message has meant something to you today, please leave a like on this video. It helps this content reach more people who might need it. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and share this video with someone in your life who is carrying grief or searching for something they can't quite name. Together we are building something here, a community rooted in faith, in prayer, and in the conviction that love is stronger than death. May God bless you. May the souls of all those you love be held in His light, and may their love, patient, quiet, and enduring, continue to find you in the moments you need it most.